Hey Swayers, it's Karnak again, your buddy, your pal, your friend, the guy who reviews all these rule cards, as I've been called. We're going to be looking at the Darth Vader Officer card. So the Darth Vader Officer card, I feel, is a very thematic card. I think it's a fantastic mechanic they brought in. Let's dive right into Darth Vader. So Darth Vader now has three different options. You have the commander version, the squadron version, and now the officer version. I do want to point out that for all of these characters, you'll see a little dot or bullet point in front of their name, signifies that they are unique. You can only have one of them in your fleet, meaning you can only have the Darth Vader commander, not the squadron, not the officer. You can bring the officer, but not the commander nor the squadron. That's what that little dot means. There's only one person. He's not cloned. They can't have multiples. So if you're gonna bring him, you can't bring the other variants that he has. So how do you know that this Darth Vader equips to the officer slot? You look at the bottom left-hand corner of the card. You know he's faction specific for the Empire. You see the symbol there next to his point cost, which is only 1 point. And the reason why he only costs 1 point is, as we get into his card abilities, he's pretty much choking out other officers for essentially one-time rerolls. So that's why the only 1 point cost. And I think that that's appropriate, because if he costs him more than that, I don't think you'd ever see him at all, because you just would never feel like you'd be getting as much benefit from him. So let's read through his card. While a friendly ship, so that means a ship that he is equipped to, or any other ship, at distance 1 to 5. And again, remember, when you're measuring distance for checking ranges for upgrade cards, it's from the physical plastic base of the model to the physical plastic base of the model that you're trying to reach to. Don't include the shield dials or the shield frames. And again, you're not measuring from cardboard to cardboard. You're measuring from the physical plastic base of the ship, including the ship that he's equipped to. So again, while a friendly ship, which is again either the ship that he's on or another ship that's at distance 1 to 5, is attacking a ship, so he can't be used in anti-squadron attacks, only ship-to-ship attacks, it may discard one of its commander or officer cards other than Darth Vader himself. He can't choke himself out. Don't think he's going to do that. To reroll any number of die in its attack pool. So in the most basic, simplest terms, check if you're within distance 1 to 5. If there is a commander officer able to be discarded, discard them, reroll any die in your attack pool. So where are potential places where you could see Darth Vader? You could see him on an SSD, but I really don't think that you would want to waste one of its important officer slots on someone like Darth Vader. And I think 99% of the time where you're going to see him is on a flotilla, on a Gazanti. It kind of sucks that he's like, you're in the doghouse, you're on a flotilla. But that's where it makes sense, because flotillas for ages have struggled with having important Imperial officers be able to be put on them to help out the rest of the fleet. The Rebels get a bunch, the Imperials not so much until now. So Darth Vader is just kind of that last ditch, like, I had a really crappy roll. Darth Vader, it's that guy's fault, re-roll type of thing we got going on here. And so yeah, you re-roll any number of die in your attack pool. And I wouldn't rely on this re-roll as, some people like, oh, I'll bring a Darth Vader and a bunch of skilled first officers, and that's all the re-roll that I ever need. Well, remember, most ships can make 2 attacks, and you've got 6 rounds. That it's great and all that you think you're only ever going to need the 1 reroll, but it should be essentially for emergency use only. Let's talk about some of the commanders that you can benefit the most from choking out. Obviously, you can choke out any once their use has expired, but I want to point out specifically the guys whose certain timings that maybe you don't need anymore, like, for example, Tag. Tag after round 5, not useful anymore, because his timing is only for the 3rd and 5th round. So after that, he's worthless. Choke him out, toss him out in airlock, etc. Same thing with like Grand Moff Tarkin, except for the fact that he's the most expensive commander in this game besides Leia. After you've put out all of the tokens on your ships, again, you can Darth Vader them. After that, you don't have any need for them anymore in the 6th round, or again, if it's that last ditch, like, I need to kill this thing, otherwise it's going to get away, useful for that. Ozzel, same deal. Usually, where Ozzel is the most useful is range control in the initial portions of the game. After that, you really don't need his speed jank ability nearly as much. So again, thematic choke Ozzel out. The Emperor Palpatine. So once he's been spending those defense tokens, like you get down to some that maybe aren't going to be as useful anymore. Again, Vader choke him out. He's 35 points of a reroll. That again, if you've used all the tokens that you need to use, you might as well use them for a reroll at that point. And again, same deal with Grand Admiral Thrawn. After his 3 command dials are done, he just sits there. He just twiddles his thumbs and waits for his plans to come to fruition. Whether if you did a good job with that or not. Again, toss him out the airlock, choke him out with Darth Vader. What about officers? Well, of course, as I mentioned before, you have the tried and true skilled first officer. He's 1 point. So you can't go wrong with a 1 point reroll. I mean, that's all well and dandy for some ships. But what are some officers that stay on ships that don't no longer do any use after they've been tapped? Let's talk about Nita, Ozzel, Titus, Tua to start with. So all of these guys' timings are at the start of the first round or otherwise. Essentially, as soon as they've done their bit, they're on the ship and they are worthless from here on out. So you might as well choke them out with Darth Vader. Get a reroll out of it. Because again, Nita, he's only 2 points. Ozzel's 2 points. Titus is 2. Tuna is 2. So essentially, with Vader, you're looking at 3 points for a reroll. And again, once these guys have triggered their abilities at the start of the first round, they're just worthless. They just sit there on their ships and don't do anything. So that's great for like Titus, who might be on a Gazanti. I don't know why a Gazanti would ever need a reroll for attack, but maybe it does. Same deal with Tua. You could choke her out because again, even if she gets discarded, the defensive retrofit that she grants still is in play. Same thing with Nita's evade. Ozzel is just that one-time movement bonus at the start of the first round. Choke those guys out. Throw them out in airlock. Let's talk about Geralt. I already covered his card and I mentioned this combination there. But again, I want to point out is that his timing is that he gets discarded after an attack is concluded. So Darth Vader, you can actually choke him out mid-attack. Because if he's going to get discarded anyway, you might as well choke him out for a reroll. So that's a benefit there. Let's talk about some other cards. Like, for example, Brunson. Brunson, for her ability, once she's canceled die, well, she's exhausted, not discarded. So if you absolutely needed to choke her out for a reroll, even though she's in an exhausted state, you can still discard her. You can still flip her over and get rid of her. Director Krennic, his main deal is you can get rerolls at medium to long range. So obviously, once enemies are in close range, you need to reroll some dice if you get a really bad roll. Vader, choke him out. Beware of your aspirations, Director. Get rid of them. Now, here's the one that's going to require a bit of... This one is coming in a FAQ. It has to, because it's about Governor Price, and it's the main reason why I haven't done a Governor Price video is what happens if you choke out Price before she's gone with her movement. Obviously, you can choke her out after she's done her thing with her last activation on the one round that you chose. That's fine. Like, there's no confliction with that. Choke her out to your heart's content after you've done the last activation on the round of your choice. What about before the round of your choice? Can you choke her out? This is a controversial decision that is still being debated to this day, and essentially is we have to wait for a FAQ. The unofficial decision that I support, and again, many TOs have variances of what they feel like, but this decision is supported by myself. This decision is supported by several other TOs from high-profile FFG tournaments like Worlds, etc. This is our definition until FFG says otherwise, and we feel like, obviously they'll explain themselves. And our opinion is that yes, you can discard Price, and her ability still happens even when she gets discarded. And this all comes down to the fact that the round token is still left on her card, and that is what's signifying that, even though she's gone, her ability has still essentially has happened and will continue to happen for its full effect. So That's controversial, I understand. As I said, go by whatever your TO says, okay? They're the final decision. I'm just letting you know that this is what our discussion internally with other people that I know and respect very well in terms of the Armada judging community. So is that Vader can choke her out at any point, and her ability is still going to go off regardless. So hopefully a FAQ will come soon and will actually give us a real answer for that. And at that point, I will then just edit this video and take that, take the appropriate portions out. But that's Darth Vader Officer. I think he's fun. I think he's fantastic, very thematic, and I just love the fact that we get more options. That if you can bring them, bring them. Why not? You know. So of course, if you feel like if I missed anything or if I got anything wrong, please be sure to point it out. Let me know. Again, one last thing is that obviously if a card is already discarded, you can't choke out a discarded card for a reroll. But yep, that's Darth Vader. Appreciate you guys watching, and hey, catch you next time.